And good morning. Time is 8:13. It's still, oh my gosh, it's still so cold out there. It's not even supposed to get past freezing today. Right now it's 14. We're joined by our guest, Robert Ward. He's going to talk to us this morning about genealogy here in Princeton. Thank you so much for joining us on this cold, nasty, slick day this morning.
Well, good morning out there, you all, and good morning, Misty. I'm glad that you would have us on today, and I've been tasked by my wife to come here and talk about the Glenn Martin Genealogy Center. Before I do that, though, I put in a shameless plug. We did get our Sons of American Revolution chapter going, and we had a meeting just the other night, and we had 9 people there, and we've got about 15 members, and so we're beginning to get up and running, and there's still time to join if you'd like to be a charter member. Now, enough about that, because that's not why I came here to talk today.
No, that's absolutely fine, and we will have you back to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll talk when we get off the air. I'm gonna have you talk to me about that. Okay. Go ahead with the genealogy information. I know you said so. You're not actually. Let's just clarify. You don't actually work there. Your wife does, correct?
That's exactly right. Our business cleans there for the library and genealogy, but I don't work there. I go around up there a whole lot, and I know enough to get myself in trouble with it. And my wife's been trying to teach me for years, and anybody that knows me knows I'm a pretty slow learner, but she has a lot of patience. But they're there every day, Monday through Saturday. They're open from 10 to 3. Now, of course, they're not open today. There'll be holidays like there always is when they're not open, but for the most part, that's their hours. They have computers on site for doing research. If you don't have a computer, they'll let you use one while you're up there. They have some paid sites, Ancestry.com and Fold3. Fold3 is a military site, and you can do some research on that. They'll kind of guide you through it. Now, they're not going to sit there and do all your genealogy for you, but they will guide you and kind of find some things for you.
Now, when you say, I'm sorry, I have a quick question. When you say they have the websites, the genealogy.com and the other, is that provided, or would we still have to go in and?
You have to use it there at the library. It's provided at the library. Okay. They're a paid site.
Yes.
And I'm glad you asked that question, because a lot of people might not understand. If people who do a lot of genealogy, they may already be subscribers to this, but it's available up there if you're not a subscriber. But you couldn't take a computer out from up there and take it home. They don't do that and use it like that. That doesn't work that way.
Right, but so long as we're at the library, we can look up our genealogy information through their website, their paid subscription
sites.
to
subscriptions to those sites, and you just have to start looking. I've always said, and you've heard me say it, and the others whenever I would come on the radio, you need to learn your own history, and you don't know where you're going maybe until you see where you've been, and you might be surprised where all your family has been in the world, in the state, in our country, in the state, in the county, and it's an interesting thing to kind of get into. They have several collections, what they call available up there at the library. One of the county, maybe our first county historian, was a man named Sam Stigger, and he left all kind of files on the history of Caldwell and the surrounding counties. He used to have a newspaper article, I think weekly, and or at least by the month anyway, and it was really a lot of great Caldwell County and this area's history was included in that. Then they have what they call family files. They have over 2,100 family files. Now, a family file is where someone who is doing research will write up some of the things or all of the things they've got and put them in a file. And if you walk in there and you ask for a certain name, and I'll use mine, I think we got a small file in there of Ward. Now, I'm not kin to the Wards that were here, have been here for a long, long time. We've only been here since I was a kid. My dad lived around here, and then they moved off and came back. But anyway, you go in there and ask for your name that you're researching, and if they've got anything in there, they'll take it out and let you look through it. And some of the files may only have 1 or 2 pages, and some may have. She said there's 1 or 2 up there. It's probably got 600 pages, depending on how extensive the people that put it in there have researched. And they're always looking for more surnames, and that's how the family files are done. They have and probably one of the most extensive collections of obituaries in this end of the state, I would say. There's over 60,000 obituaries. Some of them date, now they don't have them all by no means, but some of them date from the early 1800s on up to 2018. And that's some way you can also help trace your ancestors if they happen to have the ones that match up. Of course, more recent years, they've got lots and lots of them. There's no telling how many pages of obituaries they have. Some are in notebooks, some are on disk or on the computer. They can look up things like that. They have the periodicals, like they have a thing called the Filson Club Quarterly, which is always like Kentucky Information and Kentucky Ancestor. And they have one that's not being printed anymore called West Kentucky Journal. Had a lot of extracted things, little short articles in it, and Brenda Joyce Jerome used to write those. And hope I'm telling the right one. Did I think I am. But the obituary collection, it's amazing. They've got Sis Baker's Memories. The collections they've got is, of course, Sam Stigger's, but they also have Sis Baker's from Fredonia. Jack Grandstaff has a couple of things in there, growing up in Princeton, and then Opinion is what it's called. And there's a William Wilson that had an article in a newspaper that they've collected called Historical Tidbits. And they're all just series of newspaper articles, but they mention people's names, and it might be that your ancestor might be in that. They have marriage indexes to wills, and we've got many years of Caldwell County and Fredonia school annuals. They've got some information on old area schools and the different communities in Caldwell County, because we wasn't always a big school system like we are now, and some would say we're not very big now. But it used to be a whole lot of little one-room schools all over the counties, and that's the way they ran them back then, and people got a good education out of them. There's several church histories. Caldwell Lion Baptist Associational minutes, they have them from 1973 all the way to 2007. Microfilm, they have microfilm there. You can sit and search old newspapers, and the Princeton Banner, Twice a Week Leader, Princeton Leader, Caldwell County Times, and the Times Leader. All these local papers, they've some of the older ones, they only go back to 1877. And some of the older ones, they don't have every copy. They'll just have a copy here, there, and yonder. It's hard to find those things like that. Newspaper is kind of a fragile thing, and so they don't last a whole long time. Then they have copies of the Lyon County Herald as much as they can from 1934 all the way to 1985. So we've got more than just Caldwell County stuff, because if you look around, all the counties we touch, and some of them that are just maybe one county over from ours, we all probably have some ties to that county of some sort, or we could have. So it's always best to search all those. They always say look for your fan club, and it was you look when you're searching, you look for your family, you look for acquaintances, and you look for their neighbors. Because if you owned property close to each other, sooner or later they might witness a will for you, or they might have may have been mentioned in a legal paper. If you have an infamous ancestor, they might be mentioned in a legal paper. So you want to check what they call your fan club. And I learn a lot. We go to genealogy conferences, try to go once a year. We didn't get to go last year, but this year it's going to be in St. Charles, Missouri. So we're going to see if we can't go to that, and it'll be in May. There is so much to learn there that it's not funny. I can sit and take notes. There's different speakers, different times, and there is no way in this world you can see or hear everything that's done there. So you have to look through, I can't remember the syllabus. Couldn't remember the word. Have to look through the syllabus and pick out the things you're interested in, things that pertain to your family. I mean, when it's like Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, that's the things that interest me. Well, with it being in St. Charles, Missouri, I may be able to learn something that I didn't know before, and so it's a really neat thing. Maps, tons of maps in there. Old what they call Sanborn maps. They were a company that would come through here, and they would draw maps of basically the town and the outlines of the buildings. And it was for insurance purposes, because your insurance was figured on how far you were from the fire department and this kind of thing. The geological quadrangle maps for Caldwell and maps for Western Kentucky in general are there. And they have a book of maps of Kentucky and her counties, and they date back 1792, 1824, 1828, and 1850. So they've got a lot of different ones, and you would be surprised the way the counties have changed, and even the boundaries of the county changed. Veterans books, we have Jane Van Hooser, that's one of the genealogy ladies that was up there. She's retired now, but she's still working on. She worked on a great. These are one-of-a-kind books featuring our veterans from World War I and World War II, and she's collected pictures and information on the World War I veterans of Caldwell County, and has a great book up there for them where you can look at and maybe research your ancestor there. And she's currently still gathering, even though she's retired. I think genealogy is one of those things that when you get the bug, you've got it forever. It's incurable disease of sorts. But anyway, she is working on information for World War II and Vietnam veterans. Our World War II guys are going away slowly, and we need to collect as much information as we can from them. We have an amazing group of those men left. Vietnam veterans, and I would have been in that era. I won the lottery for Vietnam and didn't have to go. But we've got a lot of Vietnam veterans around here, and they deserve to be remembered, and this is one way that they feel like that they can remember them by getting their information in these books. And if they want to relate some stories, that's fine, and if they don't, we still would like the information on who they are and where they served and that kind of thing, whatever they feel like that they would like to have in there. And when you talk about veterans, of course, you go on back to all the wars that the U.S. has been involved in. The War of 1812, and Kentucky had what they call the Cornstalk Militia from 1792 to 1811. And then they've got the Adjutant General's reports from the Confederates and the Union both that was done after the Civil War. And I mean, it's just a major amount of things. And they have on disc, they have things you can go in there and look at. Now the Genealogy Library being a research library, nothing can be checked out. It all has to be used right there. But they have disc of the Arvin employees, awards presentations and news clippings from back that time. They had a magazine called Confederate Veteran. I'm just skipping through some of the different things. Watauga history of North Carolina. That was an area a lot of our people moved up this way as they came into Kentucky. They moved from there. Got a few oral histories. There was some ladies, Miss Eliza, Miss Sula Naw. Well, they have a oral history by Miss Naw, Eliza Naw, who I remember briefly because Mom and Dad lived in one of the houses they rented. This was done in 1976, and I mean, when you say it real fast, that seems like it was day before yesterday, but 76 now is a long way off.
Right.
My wife and I married in 76, and she's put up with me all these years. But we also have what they call the Trail of Tears room, and it started out to be a room, and we had to relegate it to a shelf because when we started, I looked at the plans and I thought, boy, this is all great, but we're going to be out of room in no time flat, and we are running out of room. People have brought us different things with an eye, maybe one of these days of Princeton having a museum, and I wished for that. I wish for that for us, for the city. I don't know where we could put it, don't know where we'd get the money, but it sure is something nice to think about. And we all have a few things laying around that belong to somebody who was local, and you don't have to be prominent to have some things that would be an interesting exhibit in a museum. And I really wish that we could get a museum here in the county, and I think it would be a good thing. It'd be a good tourist draw if we always looking for ways to get tourists in here, and we have some things for people to see. But this would just be some more things that we could maybe do. We have Judge Johnstone's papers. Whenever he retired, he left them to here. We had a college here called Cumberland College, and we have the treasurer's book there. Otter Pond Church Register. Otter Pond's doesn't have a church there anymore. There's several photo collections, and it's amazing. We have some ledgers from some of the old businesses that used to operate in Princeton. And then we have in the records room, and it's climate controlled. The records room, we have Caldwell County court order books and civil order books, criminal dockets, common dockets, and these can be looked at too with the assistance of the librarians. These books are pretty heavy. They're pretty big. We're lucky to have them. A lot of counties have sent a lot of their records to Frankfurt, and it's like all government things, stuff disappears, and sometimes it can't be found again. So we've had a lot of county clerks and that just don't want to turn loose of our records, and that's been a good thing. But they were not stored. They were stored the best they could, maybe not as properly as we'd like to have seen them. Now they're in a climate-controlled area, and they're going to last much longer like that. They're always looking to buy some new equipment, and we formed a Genealogy Society, several of us did, and we do the Ghost Walk to raise money to help buy equipment. Now, the library is more than generous, the board and all, and they will get them most everything they need. They've done really, really well by us on that. But we come up with ideas every once in a while. We bought things like microfilm cabinets and different things that people can research, books and that kind of thing. And so that's where, if you come to the Ghost Walk, shameless plug, if you come to the Ghost Walk, that's where your money goes. There is no money that comes into the Genealogy Society from the Ghost Walk that goes to anything but that library. And so that's one thing that we do to try to afford some things that they might not be able to get otherwise. And we're looking right now and hoping, but it's expensive like everything else. They have a machine where you can copy huge books, and you don't have to open and just take out every page. Those big court record books and things that I was mentioning a while ago, they are hard to copy because, for one thing, you don't have a big enough screen on most copy machines to copy these books. But this machine that they make, and there are a few around, but you'd have to take everything to them, and they're not close to here. We would like to have one of those where we could copy all those court record books and get them on some other media other than the original copy. Then you could look up, it'd be searchable. You could look it up, and then when you wanted to copy it, you could get a copy from the original. And that's one of the goals of Genealogy Society. We'd like to afford one of those, but you're looking at a few $1,000s to get it, and like everything else, then you're going to need a place to put it, need somebody to operate it. But these are all things that I think that we, as the genealogy folks, would be interested in maybe helping out to get this done, and I think it'd be a big plus for the Genealogy Library. They have people who visit from all over the country. We had a couple that came here on their vacation. They were from Oklahoma, and they came here, I know, for 3 straight years. And we get people from I don't know how many different states. I don't know how many, and even some different countries that have come here and looked for things too. And every one of them are amazed at the amount of things that we have, because a town this size doesn't usually have this much resources for things like this. And they're amazed at this, and they have been really big supporters and have helped the library out. I forgot to ask her how many people have visited. They've been open now for 12 years. And she could have told me if I'd have thought to ask how many have been in there, but it's up in the tens of thousands that have been in there. And they may only stay an hour, they may stay 2, they may come back 2 or 3 days in a row. You just don't know. You don't know. But it's genealogy is like going fishing. You just got to throw a few lines in the water and see what you come out with. And if you catch a little something, it's also like a big jigsaw puzzle that there is no outer limit. You know how when you work a jigsaw puzzle, you'll work that outer frame, then you work to the inside. Genealogy doesn't quite work that way. Genealogy kind of starts here, there, and yonder, and you put together bits and parts, and then you connect it with another, and it doesn't seem to be a border or an end to it. But to me, that's one of the things that makes it really interesting. And those ladies that work up there, they've made it their business to try to learn as much as they can to try to help the people that come in. And so that's one of the services that the library kind of provides. They are the overseer of it. They own the building. Where we came from by that building, the library inherited it from the Garrett family that owns Admore. And then Glenn Martin, who used to do tons of research, him and Ruth Nichols and some more. But Mr. Martin was a retired railroad man, and he donated the money to revamp the building. And we inherited that building because the Genealogy Center used to be in a big room in the basement that we fondly called the dungeon, because and really they didn't have anybody sitting down there with them or much or anything like that, and it's just evolved. And once we got that building over there, it's really, and like I say, they've been there 12 years, I believe, and it's amazing what there is to down there now. And they've really, really added to it and refined some of it, made it easier to find things by look, where to look and knowing where to look. And so anyway, that's kind of what they do down there. And my wife, bless her heart, she's not going to come talk about it, though. She likes to sit in the background, and what she knows, as one of my good friends and Sunday school teachers used to say, his name was Gilbert Goodwin, ran the Southern States. He said, I may not know too much, but what I know real good. Well, that's the way my wife is, and what she knows about genealogy, she knows real good. And so she would look forward to seeing anybody who could and wants to, has got an interest in this, to come down and talk to them. And like I say, they're there Monday through Saturday from 10 to 3, and Linda's there from Monday to Friday. But there's very capable ladies that are there when she's not there. They can help you find things too. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that was a lot now. That was a lot of information.
I'm not
for someone who doesn't even work there.
And I don't work there, but this is what we live.
That's what you do.
We go from the Genealogy Library to the cemetery. We go up in Cedar Hill and different cemeteries all over. We've been driving all over these 3, 4, 5 counties taking pictures. They have a site called Find a Grave, and somebody will request that you go out and hunt a grave down. We can't find them all, but we found a lot of them, and you post them online, and that person who wanted a picture of their relative's grave or whatever, if they've got a headstone, and we can find it, we'll get it on there. And there are other people in the county that do the same thing. And so that's an interesting little side hobby, if you will.
Sure.
And so anyway, that's kind of what we do.
Well, Robert and I, we could probably take up about another 20 minutes,
yeah.
But I do have another guest to get in here, so I'm
Right.
going to ask you for information on how do we. First of all, you're located at the George Coon, inside the George Coon Public Library, correct?
No, we are located next door to the Capitol Theater.
Oh, okay.
If you're standing there and you were going to go in the Capitol Theater to ticket booth, if you'll go on the corner of, what's the name of that street, Robert?
Do you know the address?
It's on Main Street. But it's on the corner of Harrison and Main.
Okay.
West Main.
Okay.
And it's next door to the Capitol Theater. It's to the left of the Capitol Theater if you're facing the theater.
Facing the theater. And do you have a number we can contact if we need some? No.
Yes. Okay. Now you have to call through the switchboard at the library.
Okay.
And the local number is 270-365-2884. And just when they answer the phone, tell them you need to speak to genealogy, and they'll hook you right up.
They'll hook you right up. Okay, Robert. Well, I appreciate all this. We will have to come back and talk when we've got a little more time to cover a few more things. And is there anything going on through the genealogy? Like, do they have ongoing events or anything? Or
we have the Genealogy Society has a meeting every other month.
Okay.
And I'm going to get this wrong. No, I'm not. It's the third Tuesday of every month. Every other month.
Okay.
And then on the off months, occasionally we'll have what's called a research night.
Okay.
So if you can't make it during those hours of 10 to 3, you might come in and we'll be open up there from, I'm going to say 6:30, 7 o'clock to about 9. And everybody's invited. You do not have to be a member of the Genealogy Society. Anybody who wants to come is free to come in there, ask questions, look around. If you don't know where to start, they'll kind of guide you through that. But it's
and when is the next meeting? Okay.
It is the third. It's the third
Tuesday.
Third Tuesday in February, I believe.
Okay.
I believe it is. I hope it is.
I'll tell you what, maybe you can email us.
We have a Facebook page.
Okay.
The Caldwell County Genealogy Society has a Facebook page. You can get on that, like it, and that way you might receive the information, or you look on it periodically. And we sometimes try to run things on what's happening in Princeton. And Maggie and Gammon, that runs the bookstore on the other side of the Capitol Theater, her and Linda and some of the others do a lot of that. They're the ones that decide when we're going to have the odd meetings and all that.
Gotcha.
And so that kind of leaves me with one of them. Well, I didn't ask about that. So
yeah.
I don't know.
That's all right. That's okay. We can get that information on the Facebook page.
I do thank the radio station for their time. We get a lot of good coverage from you all. We get a lot of good coverage from the newspaper. We're kind of feeling our way through the changeover. We're not sure how that's going to work out for us, but we hope it'll work out as well as it has before. But anyway, that's about all I know to tell you.
All right. Well, we're definitely here for you, and anything you have that you want us to get on, you just let us know, okay?
Well, I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all's time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming in today, Robert. Robert Ward, that is your Caldwell County Genealogy Society.